Hi, I'm Shristi. In this video, I'm going to show you how to add a working contact form to your app. We're going to extend out the form that I've created previously in the Material Design Starter app. So we added some tabs, got some tabs here, and I've got a form down the bottom here. So just have a quick look at this one. So I've got Jane at email.com and hi. When we hit send, we've got a little toast that appears up in the top right here. Okay, so we're going to take this, and as well as showing that message, that toast at the end, what we also want to do is actually send an email to ourselves when someone comes along to our app and sends a message to us using this contact form. So let's have a quick look at it. Jumping across to the app, I'm going to go to modules, go to core, and the HTML file is actually sitting in the views folder down here. Fairly straightforward. It is wrapped up in material design. So we've got some material design directives on here. I've got a contact form controller, so that's what we're going to be putting our methods into. I've got a method here for send mail when the form is submitted. So this is just wrapped in a form, and we've got 3 controls on here as well. So we've got one to capture the contact name, one to capture the email, and one to capture the message. So I want to be able to take the information from here and make sure that that's available in my controller. So that's step 1. So let's go and have a look at the contact form controller. Find that in the controllers folder over here. So this is what we've got so far. All we're doing is calling this send mail method, and that's being used to show our toast. It's getting the position of the toast, and that position is looking at where we want the toast to actually display. So at the moment it's in the top with top true, and it's on the right hand side with right being true. So that's what's going on here. So we want to change this up. At the moment we've got the hook from the view to the controller. Step 2 is actually to make this information available on our server. So we need to send it from the client to the server, and we can use that using the HTTP service that Angular provides. So let's have a quick look at that. I'm going to jump across to Angular. I've just got the API docs open here. So this is just the docs for HTTP. Just scrolling up so you can see that. So just the HTTP docs. And what we're going to do is just grab the example here for post, because what we're going to do is use HTTP to post this for us. So I'm just going to paste it into send mail. So use the same method that I've already got, just like that there. And within this, we've got HTTP post, we've got some URL. So that URL can be anything you like. This is kind of, think of it like an API that we're going to use to refer Express to have a look at this particular thing for us. So what I'm going to do is change that to contact form. And we can send a message when we're doing a HTTP post as well. So here we're using HTTP post. You could use, if you were doing a query to the server, you'd use something like a HTTP GET, for example. It's pretty much a direct way to access our Express routes without having to use an Angular resource. So sometimes it comes in handy, although the resources sometimes can be easier to use too. I'm going to take message out. We can pretty much send any object through here. So I'm going to send data, but I need to define that object first. So it's going to go data equals, and this time I'm going to do sort of a round bracket with curlies in the middle like that. Okay, so, and then just a semicolon in the end. So what I want to do is now send the data or collect the data from the form. So just going to have a quick look at the form. I've got a couple of items here. So I've got contact name. So that's the first thing I'm going to send through. And I'm just going to refer to it by using that contact name. So that gives me a reference to that ng model that I've got mapped back here. Next step is the email. So this time it's this.contact email, and then the last one is just the contact message. So I'm going to grab that and this.contact message. That's it. So that's now wrapped up the data object, and then that's that's something that I can then pass through here. So now the other thing that I want to do is when the message is sent, or if the message is successful, I want to display the toast. You could wrap this in a separate method. I'm going to just put this in here just to show you how that could work. You see that WebStorm has highlighted this because it's not in context of this anymore. It's now in context of the post. So what I'm going to do is actually pass this information back from Express as a success kind of message. So I'm going to wrap that in data, in the data object. So data.contactName is something that I want to pass back from the contact form once it has been sent, if that makes sense. All right, one more thing I need to do. HTTP is a service that Angular provides, which means that I need to tell this controller that I'm using this HTTP service, otherwise it's going to throw me errors. So to do that, I'm just going to add it to the controller at the top here. So for the first line, it's just going to be in the single quotes, make sure I got a comma after it. And then in the second line, it's just going to be HTTP without the quotes. Just make sure that the order of that first line and that second line are exactly the same. So here we've got scope first and then HTTP, same deal down the bottom. So just make sure the orders are the same. So that now, so just recapping, we've got our form where we've got our 3 data elements. That's now mapped to the controller, which is able to gather the data. Second step, or the third step I should say, is actually to take that and pass that through to the server. So the next thing that I need to do is take the information that we're passing through to this contact form URL and make that available as an API, as an Express route. So I'm just going to jump across to server, go down to routes, and just have a quick look at this file here. And here's where we're going to add the route. To add it, we're just going to add it below here. So just app.route, and just going to put in a reference to the actual route itself. So that is, let's have a quick look at it. It's this one here. So I can copy that, paste that in there. This time I want to do a post like that, and the method that I want to use, I'll just reuse the core server controller because there's probably not too much in there, and I'll just make it core send mail, something like that. You can call it whatever you like, but just make sure that your two your method and your route actually match up. So now that I have this, I can jump across to the controller. So I'm looking for the core server controller. And in the core server controller, I'm just going to grab this export and put in the information for what we're actually doing. So here we will send an email when the contact form is submitted. I'm going to change that from render index to send mail, like that. And we can get rid of all the stuff in the middle there. So now we can have a look at what we're going to be using to send the mail. And that is a package called Node Mailer. So if you're using version 0.40 of the Mean.js stack, you can then just go down to Node Mailer here. You can see that it's already set up for us. If it's not, you could just do npm install a Node Mailer, and that will set up for you. Put the -- save on the end, and that will also add it to your package.json file as well. Okay, so now that we have Node Mailer, got a reference to it, let's have a quick look at their site for that package and have a look at the instructions there. Okay, so this is the Node Mailer GitHub page. There's a whole heap of files that sit on this particular page, and there's some really good examples that you can use here. There's one complete example that goes through the whole process of actually using a transporter to send the email data rail elements out. what I'm going to show you is just the direct transport example. This is really good to use if you're developing locally. So just going to copy that information from there and just paste that in to this export here. The other thing I'm going to do is just take these two and just throw that at the top of the controller. So that's syntax that you'll see throughout Mean.js, where the required packages are kind of identified at the top, so you can easily see what's available, and you could reuse it for other methods as well. So once that's there, pick up the data that we're passing through here. So if you recall, in the controller, we're sending through this data object. What I'm going to do is show you how to grab that or get access to that data object directly from here. So we're going to go data. Actually, I should do var on the front of that. So var data equals, and it's just the request that we're passing through, just the body of the request, and that's all you need to do to get access to the information that's being passed. Now I just want to map these items that are going to form part of that email to the body of the request, or to the data that we're actually putting together. So if I jump back to the controller, I'm just going to grab this information here, just for reference purposes, so that I can remember what they're called. I'll get rid of that in a second. So for example, here where we've got from, instead of just having a string, I can now put in, let's say, this contact email there. So I'll refer to it by using data.contact email, just like that. The two, you could put in your own email address there, so that's where the email will go. Put in a subject, so you might have something like message from, and you might put in then the name of the person who's sending the message, so data.contact name. And lastly, the actual text from the message that's being passed through. So this time I can grab this contact message there and just go data.contact message, just like that. So I can get rid of all of that once I'm done. So it's really just a simple way to test out your contact forms, make sure they're doing what you expect them to do. So now one more thing I'm going to do while I'm here is also just send back a response so that I can display that in the toast that I want to show. So I'm just going to say response JSON, and this time I'm just going to send through that contact name. So data.contact name. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just pass back data, because I think I'd refer to data.contact name already in the controller. So I can just restart that. Let's have a quick look at our form. All right, so here's our form. Let's give it a bit of a test run. So Jane at email.com, and the message will be, hi, this is a test. All right, I'm going to send that. Let's have a look at what happened there. Oops, I've probably missed out on a var down here. Let me try fixing that up. It's left off $1 HTTP on the second one there. Okay, so let's go, so Jane, testing this out again. Let's see how we go this time. There we go, we did a post, we got a nice little toast up the top there, and I'll have an email in my inbox waiting for me on this as well. So look, I hope that helped. I have a whole lot more videos coming out shortly. This is kind of a slightly more detailed look at how we're interacting between Angular and Express. Some of the other things I want to cover include Stripe integration and file uploads, which seem to be really, really common questions that I'm getting from a lot of people. So we'll look at that in a lot more detail and to see how that works. If you've got any requests, let me know about them too. And I'll see you again soon.